This is a Dude Studios production. And hey, I'm the dude. Welcome back to Hey Bartender Podcast. I'm your bartender for the evening. You can call me the dude, or you can call me Anthony. I'm cool either way. This new episode of Hey Bartender Podcast, I bring back an old friend, Chantal Hyde, from episode 64. She has been through a lot, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to get to talk to her again since her cancer went into remission. And if you listen to the podcast, there are a couple moments in there where her answers to some of the things that that came up really threw me for a loop, and I was almost speechless. It was tough to really edit this podcast because I didn't know whether or not some of the stuff should stay in there, but some of the messages that she put out there were really important that I felt like that needed to stay in there. And a lot of you people who were gracious enough to listen to my podcast needed to hear, because some of it was really thought-provoking. Some of it was really emotional. Some of it was just flat out hilarious. But it did have some more serious moments, and I wasn't expecting to go into it like that. And some of the stuff I decided to go into, it's stuff that I've never talked about on this podcast before, but it just felt natural to bring it up with her. So enjoy this new podcast with my return guest, Chantal Hyde. And if you stick around in the show, you get to hear the single I Don't Feel, McStine and Minnemann. So stick around for that. That'll be some lodged somewhere inside the show. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, hey, Laura Hope in the Arctones, would you please help me get started?
Hey bartender, pass me a drink. The reason that I'm here is I need time to think. All the ways of the world.
Say something real quick to make sure I got audio.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to be back.
Appreciate you coming back onto the show. I was just looking at my list of shows, and it was back in January last year when I talked to you.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And a lot has changed for you since that time. Well,
Yes, it has.
lots of change for everybody. But before we get into that, if you remember when you did this show the last time, can you give us a drink special for this particular episode?
Oh, wow.
I didn't prepare you for this time. So.
No, it's okay. We can go back to the one that I talked about the last time, but it's been named something different. It's called the Cha-Cha now.
The Cha-Cha now. Okay.
It's called Cha-Cha now. The razzmatazz, loopy vodka, equal parts of orange juice and cranberry juice. It was become very popular at Bottoms Up, where I started working after the Black Sheep.
Mm-hmm.
And they nicknamed me Cha-Cha, so now it's called the Cha-Cha.
So this time last year you were still working at the Black Sheep, but you've gotten another job now?
COVID had hit and shut the Black Sheep down.
Mm.
And they ended up closing the doors. A bunch of riffraff went into the district where the Black Sheep was. So after the COVID thing, they just decided to shut it down. There was just too much gang violence and too much happening, a lot of shootings, people getting ran over. It was just ridiculous.
Oh.
So I started working at Bottoms Up in Moline, Illinois. And of course, COVID shut us back down. And, I had to make money. So I am now an assistant general manager at a restaurant, and I am still technically employed at Bottoms Up. I'm just a fill-in now.
Okay, cool. So back to the drink real quick. I want to get into that other stuff you just mentioned, but
Yeah.
okay, so tell me, did it have to change the name because you changed venues?
It changed because they gave me the nickname Cha-Cha because Chantal isn't always easy to remember. So they So Christy, who's also a dear friend of mine, she's the owner of Bottoms Up. She just nicknamed me Cha-Cha, and then they just started calling it the Cha-Cha.
Okay, so what's the flavor like on that drink?
Tastes just like loopy vodka. Oh my gosh, no, just tastes like Fruit Loop.
Fruit
Just like
Loops.
Fruit Loop cereal. Mm-hmm.
Mm. Okay, cool.
Kind of has like the texture of it too after you like chew it up. It's a little chalky, but still really good.
Well, yeah, like I said, I checked the date on when I interviewed you the last time, and you were going through a few things still. You were seeing a light at the end of the tunnel by that time, and I'm really happy to be able to catch up with you again over a little bit over a year later. So last time I talked to you, you were still undergoing treatment from cancer, and
Yes.
you were receiving an incredible amount of help from people on social media, the Fraternal Order of Bartenders, and then finally I get to see you smiling and happy because you have finished your treatment. And are you officially cancer free?
Yes, I'm in recession.
Oh, that's
Yep.
so cool.
That was confirmed back in August.
Mm-hmm.
Cancer free. Now I just got to do yearly checkups to make sure it's still gone.
That's very cool. But you kind of a little bit bittersweet, I bet, because in August last year we were right in the middle of the pandemic, so you didn't have to worry about cancer anymore. But then all of a sudden you had to worry about COVID.
Yeah, it was the bars were open back up here in Illinois, and it kind of sucks because I didn't get to ring the bell when I was so mad about it because I was just like, I didn't go through all this to not ring that effing bell. So I ended up working the night that I found out that I was cancer free, and they had a little cowbell there. So they had me ring the bell behind the bar, and everyone who was in the bar did a shot.
So, but you weren't there to celebrate with them, or is that what you're saying?
No, I was working.
Oh.
But it was still kind of every night at Bottoms Up was a party.
Yeah. We've got a Bottoms Up here in Odessa, Texas, but I haven't been there yet. I guess it's a chain then. Is it?
Nope.
Okay,
Nope.
Just another establishment named Bottoms Up, I guess.
It's Bottoms Up on 7th.
Oh, okay. And still in Illinois and enjoying everything. How's everything going in Illinois right now?
It's just that this is just our new normal.
Mm-hmm.
We still are mandated to wear masks. Yeah. So it's just kind of the new normal. We're just kind of waiting to get past this and hopefully, get back to what we used to consider normal a year ago.
Yeah. Well, right about now, I'm like, what's normal?
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm really glad. I was really happy to hear that you'd been diagnosed as cancer free, or at least in remission right now. And so just to remind listeners a little bit, just in case they haven't gone back to episode 64, because I'm like an episode 180 something right now. Just to remind listeners a little bit, you found out that you had cancer through kind of a stroke of luck of being pregnant at the same time.
Yeah.
And
I was pregnant, and if it wasn't for my pregnancy, we have no idea when we would have found it because I wasn't due for any like pap smears or anything for a while. So it wasn't for me being pregnant. I wouldn't have known for possibly a couple of years.
Yeah. And your miracle baby saved your life, and
Yes, she did.
And how are your children doing right now?
They're amazing. My oldest, Scarlett, is 3 now. Natalie's 1. They're getting ready to be 4 and 2. So time flies. They really mean it when they say don't blink.
So how are they dealing with the whole COVID? Are you just keeping them at home, or?
Yeah, they really just go around family. I never really took them out before because I have like nervous mommy syndrome and I have a lot of anxiety. So I just normally keep them around, just close friends and family.
Yeah, that's cool. But so when did what happened in Illinois when the whole pandemic started?
Kind of like what happened everywhere. There was a toilet paper shortage. it was hard to find a lot of like certain brands of food, certain things. Like you couldn't find like a lot of meat, eggs, forget about it, milk, forget about it. Toilet paper, yeah, you ain't finding it.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like what happened everywhere else. People started panic buying, and a lot of people's true colors showed, and a lot of like just harsh, judgmental personalities started coming out.
Mm.
So it was definitely an eye opener. Where people stood.
It was kind of a since I'm single, and I fortunately for me, right before the pandemic, I bought a big packet of toilet paper just so I didn't have to go to the store very often. But so I didn't have any problems there. But when it came down to food, I actually was thoroughly surprised. First time ever in my life since high school, I saw the top ramen aisle completely empty.
Right? You still can't really find ramen.
Yeah.
Like the little packets, yes, but the big bulks, no.
No, I never seen that before in my life. But
Yeah, no.
everybody decided that's the perishable food or non-perishable food that we got to keep stored. And
yeah.
I was just sitting there thinking college students are going to go hungry.
Right?
But
it's still hard to find it. Like you can find the small packages, like the microwavable cups, but to find it in the normal packages it comes with, not really.
So,
and I'm a fan of ramen because like if I'm hungover or something, that's easy.
Oh yeah. I remember that a lot of my customers used to talk about that, how they would go home and after a night of drinking and just make some top ramen and fall asleep in front of the TV. I do remember one customer saying that he did it in the wrong order. He put the top ramen on the stove and then went and sat down and woke up to the fire alarm going off because he forgot about the top ramen on the stove.
I ain't never been that drunk. I'm doing it wrong.
Well, this guy used to drink red beers all the time and used to put them away like crazy. So I don't know what his problem was. But
Poor Creeks.
So your customers, I take it, were really happy and supportive when they found out that you're in remission.
Yeah, they were.
And it's still to this day, I still think about it every now and then, how supportive everybody was towards you, helping you with everything that you needed. You had GoFundMe's started, and you, if I remember right, you said they were done by people that you didn't have any clue who they were.
I had absolutely no idea who those people were. People were reaching out to me all over the country. I had people reaching out to me in Germany. It was crazy.
That's
I was like, none of these people I ever met. This kind of gave me restored my faith in humanity.
Yeah.
And when I posted that original post, I didn't expect anything to come out of it. It was just kind of like, hey, I'm looking for some words of encouragement, and that was all it was. It was words of encouragement through a really hard time in my life. And it damn near 6,000 likes later, and my inbox was filling up.
Well, that's really cool. I mean, it's also one of the reasons why I first had you on my podcast, because I wanted people to hear your story, and but this is also why I was excited that you really wanted to be back on the show, because I'm sure some of my longer lasting fans are probably a little curious on how you're doing right now and how things are going for you. And you look great. You look healthy. And
thank you.
And I'm happy to hear that your family's doing great. But
it was definitely through this past year, there's a lot changed, and it was really hard dealing with it through COVID. I'm the last time we talked, I was in a relationship with my children's father, and that's no longer the case.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh no, don't be.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm not.
Okay, then.
I was dealing with cancer and everything else. I was also dealing with abuse, and on every single form you can imagine. So I don't be sorry, because I've never been happier.
Oh,
So.
good for you. Yeah, you actually, I've caught up on your social media a little bit to be prepared to talk to you today, and you look very happy with your new boyfriend, and
Yep.
you genuinely look happy. So I'm happy for you.
I am. He's currently on the couch with my 1-year-old right now.
But after going through something like cancer, and all of a sudden they start announcing things like COVID, you weren't in remission just yet, because they started the quarantines in, like, what was it, March or
March.
April? And
it was March. St. Patty's Day weekend is when we shut down.
That's right. Yeah, I remember now. And was there a little bit of, did you worry a little bit because your immune system was probably a little beat up because of the treatment?
I didn't personally worry for me. I worried for my children. I wasn't worried about me getting it. I was worried for my own self. I don't know if that makes sense. I was worried about me getting it and giving it to my kids. So I'm iffy where I stand on that. Like I'm all for, I wore the mask, did what I was supposed to do, not to protect me, but to protect other people.
Sure.
So.
And in the bar situation, I haven't really gotten a lot of stories from people that I've talked to. How did that go with the whole mask situation in the restaurant?
Some people wore them, some people didn't.
Did they end up in, like, Karen arguments or anything like that? Or
no, not where not at Bottoms Up. No, because like everybody who goes there is like big. They're like big family. A lot of people are they're friends, been friends for years. Like the regulars that go there, they've just known each other for years. So everyone respects everyone's own opinions about it.
Sure. So do you still have that same rule that like I have out here? Well, actually, Texas kind of backed off on the mask wearing rule. They're leaving it up to the businesses now whether or not you wear the mask, or you have your customers wear their masks. Is it still that way? You guys still have to, the customers have to wear the masks while walking into the restaurant, and then they can take the mask off when they sit down?
Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. The mandate here is when you enter, you're supposed to be wearing it. Once you sit down, you can take it off. But if you get up and go to the bathroom, move around, then you're supposed to wear the mask. You're still supposed to social distance. That is what the last time I checked on it. I think I work in Iowa, so I work in Iowa, so like the mask thing is done there. Right now it's just left up to the businesses.
Right.
In Illinois, I'm pretty sure that's the way it still is. I just don't do a whole lot in Illinois because I'm either at work or I'm at home. And haven't had too many options to bartend. I've been offered it, but I don't get to spend a lot of time with my kids as it is.
True. So but, you've moved on from being a bartender to being a general manager then.
Yep, assistant general manager as of now, but I'm being promoted this summer. It's just gotta wait for more promotions to go through, and then I'm getting promoted.
Oh, congratulations!
Well, thank you.
Does it feel better to have different hours, or what? Is there pros and cons to moving up to? Because there's a lot of bartenders that I talk to that are afraid that they've been offered manager roles or something like that, but then all of a sudden they're like, then I'll go to hourly and then I wouldn't get my tips. And
I get paid very well for what I do. I make about $40,000 a year, which in Illinois is decent. So there's some pros and cons. Like I make a little bit more now, but I also work 50 plus hours a week. I'm not home during the day with my kids. I normally work either 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. But I see my kids for an hour in the morning, and if I'm lucky, I might see them a few minutes before bed.
Well,
my 2 days off, but that's if something doesn't happen, then because my boss had gotten COVID, and I went through almost 4 weeks with maybe 3 days off.
Have you gotten yours, or have you been thinking about getting your vaccine?
Unfortunately, I I don't react well to vaccines. Anytime I've ever gotten a vaccine, I've gotten very sick. I've been hospitalized. So I'm choosing not to, just because of my past experiences with Tdap, Gardasil. I've had multiple vaccines that I have just gotten very, very sick from. I've been hospitalized, inpatient, had to stay for a few days. When I was vaccinated, my third round of Gardasil, I was in the hospital for a week and a half. So I'm choosing not to, just because of my past experiences.
I have to admit, I got my first COVID shot last Saturday, and I waited a very long time to do it because I have a history of allergies. And one of the bigger allergies I had was to codeine, and I was sitting in wait for a long time to see what the reaction for other people was going to be before I went and got my vaccine. And it sounded like it was going to be okay. So I just decided I'm going to want to travel outside of Texas, hopefully very soon. And I just want to be able to.
Yeah.
Well, hi, how are you?
This is my miracle baby. This is Natalie.
Well, hi, Natalie. Yep.
Hi. You joining?
This one is not.
I don't know. What else is going on for you out right now? I mean,
not really a whole lot. I work and then I'm at home. That's about it. Just being a working mom and getting my life back on track after, everything with COVID and, putting me out of work, and then my whole life changing, because I decided I was better than sorry.
It's all right.
I think the way to word it, I deserved better than what I was getting.
Right. So, how long were you out of work with during the quarantine?
So from St. Patty's Day weekend until the beginning of July.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, mid-July possibly. So yeah, just March to July that I was out of work.
So what did you do to keep occupied during that time? Because I've talked to a lot of friends that they either
stay-at-home mom. I was doing the stay-at-home mom thing, and it is not for me. I have a lot of women who can do it. I used to be one of those people like, oh, you're a stay-at-home mom, must be nice. Oh, no.
Mommy needs a break.
Yes. It takes a very strong woman to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
Because not for me. I couldn't do it. I was ready. I was borderline psychotic by noon every day.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people that, like some of my old friends that I used to bartend with, and they were joking around with me, telling me that pretty much from St. Patrick's Day up to the date where I talked to them was bottomless mimosas. And in your situation with a 1 and a 3-year-old, you probably couldn't do that. But
well.
Okay, sorry for the assumption.
I partook in some day drinking because I was like, nope. But normally that didn't happen until like at least one.
Sure.
At least.
Yeah.
At least one, normally around nap time.
At one point, I thought during I wasn't quarantined because I work in the wind power, and where wind power was considered essential workers, so I kept working. But I pictured myself during quarantine. I was pretty convinced if I actually had to stay home for as long as the people in the restaurant industry had to stay home, I probably would have finished Netflix. Because just sit in front of the TV and veg the whole time.
I've watched a lot of things. Normally a lot of kids shows.
Sure.
I've probably seen every single episode of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse a dozen times. Well, and then, all the Hotel Transylvania, all the happening stuff with the little one.
Oh, I've got a friend that almost lost his mind because his daughter became addicted to Baby Shark. And
My kids were never introduced to it.
okay, so we're gonna keep that one quiet.
I was like, we're not gonna do that. I prefer to my sanity.
Yeah. I went and hung out with that friend. I went out and hung out over to that friend's house and hung out for just a couple hours. And within the first half hour, I was like, okay, I've got the point. And he's got the YouTube video on that's like 18 hours straight of nothing but Baby Shark. And I'm like,
oh, no.
Dude, how do you do it?
No. Yeah, I heard that for the first time, and I'm like, and I was like, hearing that people's kids were getting obsessed with it. And I'm like, that will not play in my house. And not happening. I will not. Thank you. Well, it's because your children are older.
But yeah.
And do all this one-handed.
Hey, talent. Using that bartender talent.
Yeah, I'm out of practice a little bit.
But yeah, the first time I heard the Baby Shark, I was walking through San Antonio and this guy was selling t-shirts with it, with that video playing constantly, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, how does he not put a 45 in his mouth? You know?
Yeah, no thank you. I'm good.
Is the sales of the t-shirts outweighing his will to live? Or, you know?
It might just be supplying that alcohol habit.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you can do to make the money, I guess. No, thank you.
So, you were having problems at the Black Sheep. Now, I remember seeing a lot of pictures of you at the Black Sheep. Thank you so much for wearing my Hey Bartender Podcast t-shirt every once in a while.
You're welcome. I actually don't know where it went, but I wonder where that shirt went.
It looked like it was a great bar, and it's, you know, your good old fashioned typical bar, dark, and you know, different colored lights, probably great music playing in the background all the time. Was it hard to leave that place?
No.
You know, things just gotten that bad.
Well, I became the manager of that bar. So the owner wouldn't lose the bar because here you have to live, either the owner or the bar manager has to live in the county the bar is in to be on the liquor license and to keep the liquor license. So I became the bar manager. But, you know, and I'm only going to keep my opinions to myself just in case he listens to this podcast. I don't, you know, need to get any legal trouble.
Just in case. Yeah, I understand.
Just in case. But it was not hard to leave that place. I was just like ecstatic. I was like, I'm done. Wiped my hands of it.
Mm. And then you had COVID going for a little while, and then you started at the Bottoms Up. Now, have you decided to give up bartending totally, or are you just taking shifts when they come around?
It's just when they come around. I'm still technically employed there, so I'm just a fill-in. And, you know, someone calls off, someone's sick, someone can't make it. They call me, see if I can come in. I still bartend for special events. I always forget the name of it, but it's where we hold one of the most popular haunted houses here in the Quad Cities. But their weddings and banquets happen there, so when they have events, they can call me. Okay. So it's just it's not my career path. It's just what I do on the side now.
Sure. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I used to work a regular job and then have one shift a week or cover when I was available. Which with that other job, I was hardly ever available, but
that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm hardly ever available.
But it's always nice to have that option, have that extra cash every now and then. So you've taken to social media more in depth in social media. It's more than just Facebook now. You've also moved on to Instagram, and I've seen you TikTok a couple times.
Yeah.
I kind of, I don't know. I haven't seen too many videos that you've done, but I have to admire you for not jumping on all those TikTok trends.
Oh, no.
You don't have any plans or anything on your phone that's waiting to go on there doing TikTok dances or anything like that.
No, I'm good. I'm not going to judge anyone who does do that, because to each their own.
Sure.
But I have too much respect for well, and that's going to sound bad, but for me personally, my morals, where I stand, I'm not going to shake my ass on TikTok for likes. I'm not going to do it.
I heard a volunteer in the background. I think didn't I hear him say he'd do it?
Well, I'm holding to it now. He messed up. This is recorded. He messed up. This is a vocal contract at this point.
Witness.
But yeah, I have no problem with the women who do that, or the men who do it, or whatever. You know, it's because now there's that TikTok trend that men are shaking their asses on TikTok.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to each their own. All the power to you. I just personally can't do it.
I agree with you. I can't do it either because I'm too self-conscious to do most of that stuff. But I mostly use it to advertise the podcast, but there have been a couple times where I've lip synced to like a song or a movie dialogue, just because I thought it would be funny. But I just can't see myself shaking my ass or anything like that. And although there would be times it would be funny doing some of those things on top of a wind turbine, but I think my boss would get mad at me.
Yeah, I'm just like, no, I'm good. Yeah, I have no problem shaking my ass, just not on social media.
Yeah. At the bar.
Say that for at home.
Yeah. At the bar, at home. Okay.
Yep, exactly.
So,
exactly. No, thank you. I'm good.
So, moving from bartender to assistant manager, do you feel any pressure that got added on or taken off?
No.
Were your regulars upset that you aren't behind the bar anymore?
No. You know, a lot of my regulars I'm friends with, so they're very all supportive of me of, you know, moving forward with my life, starting a new chapter. They, like with everything, you know, not bartending anymore and being, you know, an assistant general manager and going forward. Me just completely changing my life around. They were 100% supportive. So I was really lucky that a lot of my regulars are actually really good friends of mine.
Oh, that's good. They're every once in a while, you know, customers get used to certain things and change scares them, but at least you've got some good supportive people behind you.
Yeah, it was really nice, and I still see them time to time when, you know, I can get out of the house.
Well, sometimes it's more fun to when you get to visit your customers on the other side of the bar. And sometimes you don't have to pay for a drink, even if you don't want it. But
yeah, that happens. That happens. Or like if we were to be, say if him and I would go to Bottoms Up tonight, we probably would pay for quite a bit of our shots. Yeah, either the regulars are buying them or the owner is buying them. Yeah.
Are things starting to open back? You said you're back to work. People are starting to do coming in with masks, and it's up to the venue or whatever whether or not they wear the mask.
In Iowa, yeah.
In where?
In Iowa, it's up to the business.
In Iowa, but not in Illinois.
Illinois is still mandated.
They are concerts coming back yet or anything like that?
I freaking hope so.
It's a podcast. You got kids there. Never mind. I hope so.
like we've gone to like some like local shows here, but I am ready to see some bigger names.
Yeah. Well, I live in West Texas, and which, to quote Star Wars, if there's a bright side of the universe, I'm on the planet that's farthest from. But so I don't get many big names out here. But actually, even the little names aren't coming out here right now just because of all of this. And I see all the time on social media or YouTube or something like that, even the big names like Metallica, or they're chomping at the bit that I want to go back on tour, or the smaller names that were like, we just released an album, we were gonna start touring with it, but then all of a sudden COVID hit, and I've been trying to help them out, get their singles on my podcast to get them a little bit of recognition, but but I was just overly curious because music in Illinois, it's a pretty big deal for out there. Iowa, probably not so much. I honestly don't know.
Well, Iowa for us is just right across the river.
Yeah.
We live on the border, so right there on the Mississippi River. So it's just right across the bridge, and there's Iowa.
Yeah. I mean, when I think of Illinois, Cheap Trick and Tasha Leggero pop into my head immediately, just because. But
I just got excited. I think it was literally just yesterday because one of my favorite bands announced that they were touring, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to go. Seven Dust.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that post go by. Yeah.
Yep. I was like, yep.
But
tag Neil in it. I was like, oh please.
Yeah, I've even seen Metallica was playing in, I think it was in Houston, and one of the guys, they were talking to one of the fans, and they said, "Where are you from?" And he said, "Odessa," and they're like, "Odessa? I don't think we've ever played there." And I'm like, "No, you haven't, assholes." Sorry.
That's okay.
For those of you listening at home, there are children, and I'm also in the room as I'm trying to watch my language.
Okay. I'm terrible at it. Yeah, but she's one, so I mean, if she starts cussing, I'm gonna laugh my ass off. But
yeah, as adults, we know we shouldn't. Yeah, as adults, we know we shouldn't swear in front of kids, and when kids swear, we shouldn't react. Which,
but we do.
Yeah, we end up stabbing. Yeah, we end up stabbing ourselves in the leg to keep from laughing. And
I normally because my 3-year-old I about fell over because one day she got so mad at me, and she looked at me and her little body shook, and she flat out called me an asshole.
Oh.
I'm like, I didn't know how to react. So I just kind of I was like, what'd you just call me? And then I turned around so she couldn't see my face, but I was holding back tears from laughing so hard I couldn't help it. She, her little body just shook because she meant that. So
yeah,
she meant that with all her being.
We're going to give Chantal Hyde a little bit of a break to introduce this week's musical guest. From New York, New York, here is McStine and Minnemann with their single I Don't Feel.
savior. I could be a piece of meat. I'm not so proud of begging you, but there's a home out on the street. I am the saddest warrior. I carry gold that weighs too much. I'm scared to make a promise. You're no believer, you're the judge. Do you know the perfect cure? Let's get dressed and go to school. Can we talk? Can you hear me? 'Cause I don't feel. So I paint myself a picture of someone who isn't there. Butterflies and roses, flowers in her hair. I never really caught the reason of why you put us on the shelf. Other than your kindness to save me from yourself. I can't hear your voices call. I can't speak my mind at all. So in love, but is this real? 'Cause I can't feel.
Once again, that was McStine and Minnemann with their single I Don't Feel from their album 2. If you want to find out more about them, they've got a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and even their own website, McStineMinnemann.com. You can also find them on iTunes. You can find them on Bandcamp.com. In fact, that's where I found them. I go to Bandcamp.com to find all these great artists to show you guys. And, go out, check out their music, download something that you like, tell them how you feel about them. It's all cool. Remember, if you want to be a part of Hey Bartender Podcast, or you want to play your music on Hey Bartender Podcast, all you have to do is email me, dude@heybartenderpodcast.com. I am willing to have anybody on my show. I'm willing to play any music on my show. All you have to do is ask people. And don't forget to visit www.heybartenderpodcast.com or follow us on Instagram or Facebook, both Hey Bartender Podcast. Now, let's get back to our interview with Chantal Hyde. One thing that I want to lightly touch on, because I know this is going to be a really sensitive subject, and I've got people listening to my show that are kind of being nitpicky about some of the things I talk about because it's not politically correct to talk about. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how is... Anyway, I don't want to get into that. But I appreciated your
Bartender show. None of that's publicly correct.
no, God no. But I didn't before I saw you take a stance on it, I did hear about or see actually the video of the guy in the Guy Fawkes mask talking about National Rape Day.
National Rape Day, yeah.
And I saw that video at the Guy Fawkes mask and I went, what the hell is this all about? And I actually had to do a little bit of research on it because I thought maybe it's anti or in support of victims or something like that. But that schmuck was serious. And I went, oh my God, what the hell's wrong with that guy? And probably
actually a group of guys that started it.
Yeah, I found that out just only a couple hours ago. And
it was a group of guys who started it, and it spread like wildfire. And at first I thought it was just a joke, even though it, joke or not, still not okay. With me being a survivor myself, I was extremely livid and felt sick to my stomach. Also being a mother of two little girls, though I'm not saying it doesn't happen to men because it does, but sure. I was like, what? What is this? And it literally made me just, ugh.
Yeah, I was just sitting back thinking, what makes that okay? I just,
nothing makes it okay. It's just that this is the kind of world we live in now.
But your support, you sharing your story and sharing your support to other women who have been victimized, or warning women who haven't. I really appreciated that you were able to get out there and send out the message, because a lot of people don't do that.
No, they just they sit idly by, and it's just kind of like the train wreck effect. You just watch it, but you don't do anything about it.
I've when I was bartending, there was a number of times where I would grab a girl by the wrist who had a little bit too much to drink that night, and I'd be like, "You sit right here. You won't understand why for now, but you're not going home with him." And the guy would get a little bit mad at me, and all I had to do was turn to the biggest, meanest guys that I made friends with at the bar, and just all I had to do was say "kill," and they would have done it. But the guys would normally back off, but I would normally take the girls that I would see that was possibly in danger, set them aside. And because I was, even though most of the women in my bar really didn't need protection from me, I still kind of had that, Papa Bear type of mentality. But when
I was the same behind the bar, like I always kept my eye out, especially on the females. I've seen some pretty grody shit working behind the bar. When I was bartending at the Black Sheep, I had a female who was extremely overserved. I didn't serve her once, but she was extremely overserved. She came into my bar. I was like, I'm not going to ask you to leave. I'm not going to serve you any alcohol. You can sit here and sober up. Let's get you some water. Let's try to get you home. I was trying to help her find a ride home. Outside of calling her an Uber, which is what eventually happened, is I ended up getting her an Uber. But there was this group of guys that I went to the bathroom just for a second, and I came out and she's gone. I'm like, where'd she go? And she got pulled outside by like 6 guys, and they were all messing with her and grabbing at her, and they were like, "Oh, you can come home with us. We'll get you home." I was like, I grabbed her, pulled her to me. I'm like, she ain't going home with y'all. Like y'all got to get the fuck out. Go. I'm gonna call the cops. No doubt in my mind that if that would have happened, that she would have been gang raped.
Yeah, and
I was like, nope. And I called her. I got her an Uber and sent her on her way.
And that was great that you actually were looking out for her like that. I mean, really something really bad could happen there. But yeah, nothing ever escalated. I wouldn't let anything escalate that far because, like I said, I was overprotective of my female customers, even though they didn't need it. But in your situation, because I kept thinking if like if something like that is big as troublesome as your situation was, you got 4 or 5 guys trying messing around with one woman, and then I come out there, grab the woman away. The guys would have automatically wanted to fight me. I'm pretty sure. But you told me that you've been punched before, didn't you?
Plenty of times.
Yeah, but
I've been hit. I've been slammed into walls. I've had beer bottles chucked at my head. I've had weapons pulled on me.
But you also being tough as nails. But in my most of my opinion, when it comes to like bar fights getting started, the female bartender can defuse the fight way faster than the male bartender. For at least in the cases that I've been in. I mean,
I've seen both ends of the spectrum. I've had situations at bottoms up that I was able to defuse. Some situations I was not able to defuse. There are situations where I shouldn't have, but I did anyway. I've gotten in the middle of. I put one of our regulars in a full Nelson and drug him backwards.
Awesome.
It's like, nope, this isn't happening tonight.
The fights that I used to break up, I was always that close from getting hit myself, but luckily they stopped for a second and had this brief look in reality saying, I just screwed up. But that takes guts to be able to jump out between however many guys it was and pull that girl away when all those guys were looking forward to God knows what. And you helped that. Did that woman ever realize what was about to happen to her? Did you talk to her about it later?
I actually seen her a few weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
She was actually friends with someone I knew, and a few weeks later, and she was just like, she says she didn't remember a whole lot of that night, but she remembered me and thanked me.
Oh, good.
For it.
Good. That, because sometimes that goes unnoticed. And actually, there were a couple times where it backfired on me, where I thought the girl was in trouble, and all of a sudden, the girl's yelling at me for getting involved, and I'm like, okay. But
yeah, I've luckily never had that happen to me.
Yeah.
So.
But so now that you're moving up, you're feeling healthier. You've got 2 beautiful children. This is the first, for the people listening at home, this is the first time that I've actually seen you face to face, because when I first started this podcast, it was just over the telephone, but now we're using Zoom and I can actually see you now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, from what I can see now, you're healthier. You've got 2 beautiful kids. You've got a supporting boyfriend, and things are on way, way better than when I talked to you over a year ago. And you're genuinely happier. I can see that.
So much better.
What are your plans for the future?
I just kind of take it day by day. Eventually, a few years from now, I see myself home a little bit more with my family. Hopefully upgraded, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get you.
It's mainly just day by day. And a year ago, I would focus so much on the future and what my cancer scare and going through what I went through with my ex. It's just, I've learned to live for the moment and not for what I hoped.
Mm-hmm. And I mean,
it's so much better just to live for the moment, because your next moment isn't promised.
Well, in situations such as yours, pregnancy, cancer, failed relationship, COVID, or instead of failed relationship, can I say just bad relationship? Or
you can say it either way. It was failed, mistake, downright stupidity. I'm okay with it all.
Okay, okay, we'll go with that.
I'm sure he'll probably end up listening to this because he listened to the last podcast and flipped the fucking lid.
Really?
Yeah, flipped the lid over me stating that, I've never really wanted to have children because why would I want something I was told I couldn't have?
Ah,
I was told I couldn't have children. So
Yeah.
why would I hope for something that I was told I couldn't have? I flipped the lid. I got my face busted up for it, but it's whatever.
oh my God, I caused you to get hurt.
No.
I'm so sorry. Do I need to cut this part out?
I don't care. I don't care. And he's fucking he's irrelevant.
Okay.
So
Well, I really appreciate your strength on that afterwards. I mean, that's serious. Some serious problems that you piled on to the rest of your stuff. I mean, do you ever have those moments where you turn around, look at life, and go, "What else you got?" You know?
Yep. Yeah. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. I have a little joke that I make that like my life is just like it's like that novel series, the series of unfortunate events.
But you're doing really well now. It looks like.
But, yeah, I find the humor in it. There's a silver lining to everything because if I didn't experience what I experienced, I wouldn't be who I am. So everything happens for a reason, and I believe the universe isn't going to put something in my path that I can't handle. So.
Mm. And you've handled the universe like you're a bitch, so so far.
Like to think so.
Yeah.
I like to think so. There's
But
days that I'm weak and I feel like I can't take anymore, but when it comes down to it, I know I'm a tough bitch and I can handle whatever life throws at me.
yeah. Well, greatly admire you for that, and just like in the last time you visited the podcast, I admire your strength to get through all of this, and plus all the added stuff in the last year. And you're still kicking. You're still out there kicking ass, and it's really inspirational. And I hope that some of my listeners can take some of that from you and add that into their lives. I mean, do you just for fun, if you were to give any advice to women that were having same trouble that you were having, or ballpark area, what do you have any advice for them?
So it's so difficult to say because when it comes to domestic violence and stuff like that, it consumes you. Some of these women really believe that they can't do any better, and it's just a cycle of abuse, and it's sad. There are a lot of women who will never escape, and they will lose their lives because of it.
Mhm.
Eventually, that's where it goes. But for the women that are looking to get out, and the grass is greener on the other side. It's hard, it's scary, and you will feel like the floor underneath you has been ripped out, but the grass is greener and there is resources. Even if you feel like you can't talk and no one's listening, someone is listening.
Mm.
I was very lucky enough that I had a really supportive group of friends that already knew it was happening, though I was lying through my teeth to them. They already knew it was happening, and then he started being way more upfront about it and was doing it in front of people. I was launched across my own living room in front of a group of my friends.
Oh my God.
And then toward the end, like it was over way before it was actually over. And I actually had met Neil, and he was just there to support. He was there just to support as a friend, and then it ended between dipshit and I, and then things with me and Neil took off fairly quickly, but I was lost the moment I lost myself the moment that I laid my eyes on Neil. So
the one thing that I often worry about people that have been a victim of domestic violence, male or female, whatever, is kind of the post-traumatic stress. And would you suggest that therapy is a good option? I mean, or maybe not even an option. Would you tell your friends that have been through it, go see a therapist?
Yeah, I was seeing a therapist. Well, and due to COVID, it was over the phone.
Mm.
So I spoke to someone once or twice a week. I had a hotline that I could call, because I dealt with PTSD very badly. I was just coming through everything, with facing what I was facing with, my cancer scare, and I had gotten actually sexually assaulted not long after you and I talked the last time, and going through abuse, and it was just like I was at my wit's end, and I was suicidal without being suicidal. Like I wanted to die, but without wanting to die. If that makes any sense. I had too much to live for, but at the same time, I didn't want to live anymore. So the therapy helped a lot. There's no shame in talking about what you're going through and reaching out for help, because it's okay to not be okay.
Right. Which is something that some people have a little bit of trouble with, that I've noticed in my wanderings, that people say, no, I'm fine. No, I can't feel this way. I gotta be happy. I gotta stand up straight, even though they're dying on the inside, whether they're suffering from mental abuse or physical abuse. And it's a tough thing to get through, but you gotta, like for example, a guy like me, who would be like, no, I'm fine. I don't need to see a therapist. What's a therapist going to do for me? But actually just getting the stuff off your chest instead of having an inner monologue or waiting for one of your friends to say what's wrong. Or even having,
I would argue it takes greater strength to admit it than to keep it under us. That's what I used to think. Like, I know I'm weak if I admit this. I'm weak if I show that I'm hurting. But in all honesty, it takes greater strength to admit that you need help, and it's okay to ask for it. Because, like I said before, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
Night, babies. I love you. Night, baby.
And and you've got some beautiful babies to show for it. And
thank you.
I was honest to God, last time I had you on the show, I was hoping that it would help benefit you and get you a little bit more help with your situation at the time. I'm sorry you had to hit a little bit extra low point after that, but you pulled yourself out of it, and I'm really, really happy for you.
Oh, thank you.
And I don't want to keep you too much longer because your kids are getting ready to go to bed.
Oh, it's okay. I'm gonna see them in the morning. Mama's had a fill today.
Well, but I really, really appreciate you coming back onto the show, and invite you to anytime else you want to come back on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Truth being told, I look that picture I sent you a while back. My all-time listened shows. Your episode was number 3 of all-time most popular shows, and I thought, I've got to tell her about this. This is is really cool. And if anything, it might make you happy a little bit to know that people are listening.
It was awesome. It really was. Yeah.
And it wasn't just a devilish ploy to get you back on the show so I can get more numbers. But
that's okay. I even shared that with Neil, because it's like, I was like, oh, look at this. This is awesome. Because I tell him absolutely everything. And, he's been down this road with everything and with his band and stuff. So
yeah.
I was just like, hey, look at this. I'm somebody too. I mean, not really.
Well, this podcast is still a small podcast. I don't get the Joe Rogan or any of those numbers, but at least, in the numbers that I've been able to look at, I've touched at least one person in every state in the United States, at least one. And it's also going international. I've got listeners in Africa, England, China, Australia, and
Awesome.
it's going all over the place. And you're part of the help that got me there. And so, because you were generous enough with your time to be on the show, and I really appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Like I said, I was happy to be on, and I'm happy to be back on.
Yeah. Anytime you want to be back on, or if you want to ask one of your bartenders where you manage if they want to be on the show, I'd be happy to have them on there too. Yeah.
I'll bring it up to them.
But and you know, I only sent you a T-shirt at the time, didn't I?
A T-shirt and a couple wristbands, and I ended up giving those wristbands away to like some of my regulars.
Oh yeah. Well, that's cool.
They were part of like the like I got some regulars that like were seeking me out after the FOB thing. Like I had people walk into my bar and they yell out FOB, and I'm like, what?
You know, I haven't gotten my coin yet, but I know Kenny Stewart is really behind on that stuff right now. But I totally understand. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna once again totally appreciate you being on the show. I'd love to see you again, and you know, keep me posted on what's going on in your life, and you know, because I want to see if you make that upgrade you were talking about.
I'm sure. Like I'm gonna get the stink eye after he listens. He's going to.
Well,
Okay.
we've only referred to it as an upgrade. We haven't exactly said what the upgrade is, so you might get the question a lot. So, what upgrade were you talking about with him?
No, you know, so I'll get the stink eye because our mutual friends have brought it up too. So
Okay.
No, on their own.
Yeah. But I'm glad you're doing great, and I hope to see you again soon.
You will.
Anyway, that's it for this episode of Hey Bartender Podcast. But before last call, I just want to say a few things. First of all, ever since I first had Chantal on this podcast, I was thoroughly floored and amazed in a good way that there were so many people out there that were willing to help Chantal with her cancer diagnosis that didn't even know her. Like you heard her say, she got help from people out of the country. And it's really amazing when people can band together and help each other out like that. Even try to help somebody that they don't even know or really have no opportunity of ever meeting. So remember, get out there and, you know, if you see somebody that needs a little bit of help, don't be afraid. Ask them if they want help, or just give it to them and see what they do with it. Because there's no harm in doing that. And also, if you know of any of your friends, family, or maybe even yourself that are going through troubles where they just can't get past whatever wall that they've put themselves up against or been pushed up against, offer some help or offer opportunity to go talk to a therapist. Because there are some times where we just can't get through it ourselves, and we just need somebody to talk to. Like we were just talking about, sometimes these things just pop into your head or come into your life, and you just can't get past it, and you know you're having trouble. Sometimes it's difficult to talk to family and friends about it. You can't expect them to say, listen, I'm having problems, I need some help. And nobody's expecting you to say, hey, I'm having some problems, I need some help. But there are people out there that will help you. The therapists, or even a telephone chat line that you can look up on the internet where you can just sit and talk with somebody about your problems. There is no harm, no shame in doing that. Just remember, get yourself some help if you feel like you need it. And it's the first part is admitting that you need help. But once you do that, you are already halfway there to recovery. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but sometimes it takes a lot for us to sit back and say, you know what? I'm not right. I need some help. So, you know, get out there, get some help, especially since all of us going through these rough times at COVID and maybe some rough times at home or just a mental block with work. It's really difficult times. And when you're a person like me who sits back and says, if I can't talk to my family about it, why should I talk to a therapist, somebody I don't even know? Or, I can't act like this because I'm not like that person. I don't have a problem. It's so difficult to admit that you have a problem, but sometimes you just need somebody to talk to. And me personally, I didn't want to burden any of my friends with any of my problems. And I did feel like it would be a burden, but talking to a therapist actually does help. So just remember, if you're having problems, somebody that's having problems, encourage them to get some help. And a final piece of advice, if you got kids wandering around, watch the swears, because even I was having trouble during this interview. But we managed to make it through okay. So it is last call, ladies and gentlemen, last call for alcohol. Once again, thank you, Chantal Hyde, for returning to the show. It was a genuine pleasure having you back. And it's so good to hear that you're doing so well. Sorry about the rough patch in between the last time I talked to you to now, but I'm really happy for you that you're you genuinely look happier right now. So I'm really happy we got the chance to talk again. Also want to thank McStine and Minnemann for letting me use their song I Don't Feel, pardon me. And just remember that's available on iTunes or Bandcamp.com. Having trouble with this wrap up. And go check out their music, listen to it, download it, and go check out their Facebook, Instagram, or even their website, McStineMinnemann.com. As always, I have to thank my intro music, Laura Hope and the Arctones. You guys are awesome. I love having you guys as my theme song for this podcast. And also thank all the listeners out there. You guys have made me feel like I'm actually doing a good job with this. I'm doing really well with this year's goal, and I want to keep it up. Remember to jump on iTunes, give me a rating, give me a like, give me a 5 stars. That would be awesome. You don't have to give me 5 stars if you don't want to, but get onto iTunes, give me a rating, give me a comment. I would totally appreciate that. And don't forget to go to www.heybartenderpodcast.com. And I got some t-shirts for sale. I got, a couple other things going on the website. Just go to www.heybartenderpodcast.com and check it out. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Hey Bartender Podcast. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Hey Bartender Podcast. And if you have anything interesting to say, or you want to be on the show, or you want your music played on this show, all you have to do is email me, dude@heybartenderpodcast.com. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. I just want to wish you all lots of love, lots of sex, lots of happiness, and don't take any shit from anyone. Good night.
What do you mean it's last call? I just got here!